My son played with a Ouija board, and ever since then, strange and unsettling things have been happening in our life. It's as though something entered his body and now uses him as a vessel. My son has always been a bright and dedicated scout with excellent grades in school. He is 15 years old and 1.60 meters tall, but now he's inexplicably grown to 1.82 meters in a matter of months, and it doesn't seem normal. He knows things he shouldn't. If someone knocks on the door, he'll say, "Mom, it's so-and-so. Open the door," even though no one has reached the door yet. The other day, my sister had an accident in Cancun, and he was the one who broke the news to me before anyone else could. One day, I threw the Ouija board outside the house, and he warned me, "Don't do it, Mom. Don't mess with them." Now he barely sleeps or eats, and every night I find him awake, his behavior growing more and more unsettling. He insists that the Ouija board isn't just a piece of wood and warns me not to engage with it. Recently, I caught him levitating, half a meter off the ground. He walks so quietly that I don't even hear his footsteps anymore. He seems to know everything that happens in the house and beyond. Just days ago, my brother had a problem, and my son recounted every detail to me before anyone else could. He told me not to worry, that he'd gather people from scouts to help, but his intelligence seems sharper, almost superhuman. His grades remain high, and he even mocked his math teacher for making a mistake, saying, "I had to teach her." At night, I've seen him on the roof, swinging like a pendulum, and his two best friends no longer come around. I sought help from a priest, but he dismissed my concerns as nonsense. I feel desperate. I don't know whether to pray or run. When I was pregnant with my daughter 5 years ago, I had a very complicated pregnancy. Many strange and terrifying things happened to me, especially after giving birth. When I was taken to the labor room, I felt a chilling sensation sweep through me from my feet to my head. It was icy and unnatural. Since I had a cesarean, they gave me general anesthesia. When I woke up, I was told my daughter had been born, but she was choking, the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. Her skin was purple, but they managed to revive her. After the delivery, I began to swell unexpectedly. The doctors removed all IV fluids and pain medications, but my condition worsened. I developed severe anemia from blood loss and intense stomach pain where the doctor examined me. X-rays revealed gastritis, and I was probed and kept in the hospital for a week. They gave me iron, but I felt miserable and scared, unable to stay alone. Despite numerous tests, the doctor found no physical cause for my illness. One even suggested I seek help through other means. Desperate for answers, I paid many supposed healers, but none could help. My condition left me feeling hopeless, to the point that I prayed to the Christ figure in my home, begging for relief or to take me away. I even began to harbor hatred toward my husband, blaming him and wanting him gone. Finally, a friend directed me to a woman who performed spiritual cleansings. The lady had stopped doing cleansings because of her own health problems, but I begged her to help me. She eventually agreed and performed the first cleansing. Almost immediately, I began to feel better. She told me someone had worked against me, wishing for my death. After 7 cleansings, I was healed. Later, I learned that the person who had harmed me was a woman my husband had been involved with. Karma seemed to strike back. My husband became gravely ill, experiencing crises so severe that he bid me farewell, thinking he wouldn't survive and that he was on his deathbed. He agreed to see the cleansing lady, and she helped him too. Sadly, the lady who had healed us fell gravely ill herself not long after, and that was the last I ever heard of her. Many strange things have happened in the house where I live, but this one still haunts me. It happened 21 years ago, involving my sister Estella and me, Julieta. At the time, we were living alone because our husbands worked outside of Mexico. My sister had a baby who was about 3 months old, so she moved in with me to avoid being alone. She also had a 6-month-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. She stayed in the room next to mine. Unfortunately, she had been unwell, recovering from an infection after giving birth. At night, I often checked on her to make sure she was okay. One night, I was sound asleep when I was jolted awake by a strange and unearthly noise. It felt as though it was calling to me. Alarmed, I jumped out of bed and ran to my sister's room. When I entered, she looked terrified and said to me, "I just saw the devil." I was stunned. We didn't really believe in such things, so I asked her what she meant. She explained, trembling. "It was a dwarf. He stood right next to me, staring at me. At first, I thought it was your child, but when I looked closer, I saw his eyes. they were red. When he saw that I was scared, he turned into a pig. She had been sleeping on a mattress on the floor when this happened. I tried to console her, but she was visibly shaking and burning up, saying it was the fright that had made her feel so ill. At first, I thought she might have been hallucinating from the fever, but the fear in her eyes told me otherwise. I decided to call Pastor Raoul. We are Protestants. It was already 2 in the morning, but I explained everything that had happened. The pastor reassured me, saying we needed to pray together and not to fear the apparition. He promised to pay for us as well. After we prayed, I returned to my room. I was still shaken, but I tried to calm myself. Just a few minutes after lying down, I suddenly felt as though something was physically shaking my body. It wasn't subtle. It felt forceful and real. Terrified, I began praying harder than I ever had. After a while, the shaking stopped as suddenly as it had started. The house fell silent again, but the memory of that night has stayed with me ever since. So, what do you guys think? Do you believe these 3 stories, or do you think maybe these people saw some hallucinations? Do you have your own scary story to share? Let us know in the comments below, or by sending us an email at dragonvin@gmail.com. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great night.